Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
Welcome, everybody.
All right. We
Keep
still good?
on.
We still good?
Lord, yeah.
All right. Sorry, guys.
So, Rockford,
Technical difficulty.
Rico, Chattanooga Head, Steph,
Thank everyone for being patient and
Ricky,
waiting.
T-Bone,
T-Bone, multiple aquarium.
Buffalo, Troop, John Oliver, Skipper,
No.
Troop, Tropical,
Mike, Florida Fish Rescue. Skipper.
Mike, Patty,
COC. Adele.
Group of No
G3.
Tomatoes.
Greg.
What's up, Greg?
Muppet. Oh, Buffalo Photo Troops.
Hello, everybody.
All right, you guys. Ricky, hey. Miss Patty. So Rico Stan. So tonight we have a very special guest, and I'm very excited. Hey Ed, Chattanooga
Dell.
Ed,
Hello, Dell.
Jay Olivers, and this person is known to most people in chat, but not to being interviewed or up on panel much. And I am very excited that he finally said yes. And we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, guppies. So we're going to talk about a pair of my guppies, in fact. But before that, we're going to a little background, and we're going to bring him on up.
Thanks.
Come on up, Chewy.
Well, hello, Jess, and hello, Chubz. First off, it is really, really good for me to have an opportunity to talk to Chubz first. Because he goes out in nature and goes around being a tugboat driver.
That's right.
You know, so he gets to see nature firsthand. Whereas the first part about this is more about a lab.
Yes.
So for me to express myself, I got involved in the hobby when I was about 6 or 7 years of age. And my first pair of fish was basically guppies. So that was like in the 60s, you know, like when your sister is screaming about the Beatles and you want to get away from that, you know, like I grew up in a musical family, but I loved fish, right? So I got my first aquarium, and then by the age of about 10, our aquarium society in Calgary would have a junior junior membership where a lot of us kids would get to work in our club's store. Calgary had, like the Aquarium Society back then, had a store called Aquabar. So we would have the opportunity to work and learn from all of the great people that were in our Aquarium Society, including a mentor of mine, Mr. Herb Williams, who ended up being my boss at the wholesaler where I used to work.
Yeah, better.
So I got heavily influenced by guppies, but I also got heavily influenced by other fish. But my all-time favorite fish is the guppy. So that's a little bit of a background on me. I've also been a member of the IFGA. I know a few of their judges. I knew Luke Roebuck rather well because he was like a metalhead that would listen to the radio shows that I would do in that genre. Okay. Right. And so you got to know these people as people, and there is a big kind of thing knowing judging standards.
Yeah.
Okay? The IFGA has their standards and the World Guppy Association has theirs. And there are no classes for the general types of strains, as you know, that you have, Jess.
That's right.
Okay, but this is not about shows. This is about genetics.
Correct.
Have you ever heard of the color wheel in guppies, Jess?
The color wheel?
Yes.
I have not.
The color wheel is your basic 5 colors.
Okay.
Yellow, red, blue, purple, and green.
Purple.
Those are your 5 basic colors without it being modified by another gene. Okay? Now, you were showing me pictures of males that were showing mostly blue tails instead of red tails in your line. Am I not correct in saying that?
Black.
Well,
Black
they look
with the red spot.
bluish, black.
Yeah, they're real. Yeah, they're darker.
They're darker blue, and like they don't show the red as much. Okay?
No, right, correct.
Okay, and this is where I'm making my point. The opposite color of red to the recessive is blue. So your strain is basically telling you it's kind of falling apart.
Hmm.
Daniel.
Okay?
Okay.
It's basically showing a lot more blue, and this is the point that Terry was trying to get to you with. A lot of these strains that are coming out of Asian fish farms and breeders are not top quality type 80% breed true.
Okay.
So you have to sort of like kind of understand the guppy wheel to figure out what to do.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I had a line of the recessive bluegrass that I got from Philip Shattuck, and now would be about the time to show that link to the people that I provided.
Okay.
I have a few books.
All right. Share screen. So what I've got, kind of a little bit while I'm pulling this up, I have a line of guppies, a strain that I call the blue or the dark dragon, Dumbo dark dragons, big ear. And why is it doing that? And the share screen. The strain, the last set of guppy spawn that it had half of them were the color they're supposed to be, and the other half were like colorless, not without color, but not the color they're supposed to be. Like
exactly. There's other genes at play here. I'm just concentrating on one section of guppy genetics as we're talking. I'm talking about the tail fins and what is supposed to be the matching fin colors in that particular strain.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay. All right. Where you want to go?
Now, if people, can you post this link so that people can go to this? This is on Goodreads, so people can actually read his books. I have the Guppy Color Strains book, and you can read it on the internet, but it's no longer available in print. I have an autographed copy from Philip of that particular book.
Cool.
The manifesto.
All right. Link is in chat.
Okay, so if people go and see just a few of Philip's selections that are available through Goodreads, which I do believe that they can read it there, they will notice titles such as Guppy Genetics Simplified.
Right there at the top.
Right. So that is probably the book that you would be wanting to read first of all.
So does it download it, or let's see?
You can download PDFs or you can read them online. It depends on the supplier. Okay, so Philip is from Canada and he developed a strain of guppies called the see-through guppy, which includes the glass belly gene and a few others. Okay?
Okay.
So when I thought of your strain, I went, okay, I can tell you exactly why from the aspect red and blue. You will not see a purple or a green unless that is in the strain prior to what you got and it's a throwback. To understand the genetics of a line, you have to know your breeder to ask questions.
Yeah.
Okay? This is number one. How well does that particular strain do? What is the percentage of breed true? What are some of the hidden genes in the line so that I know what to expect?
Right.
Okay.
I've got a picture of them I was going to try and pull up, but I don't know if it's going to let me.
So now, if you don't have that book, a good resource here on YouTube is my friend Doug Gray, because he's also got those books and many other books that Philip has written. One we consider the Bible from Philip, and all of this was checked out by a geneticist because of the fact that when you are studying genetics, you have a hypothesis and you have the results of your cross. Okay? It's a whole bunch of isolation. You don't breed guppies. If you're developing a project, you don't breed them all in one tank. You have to isolate your breeders. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then if you want to have a breeding colony of them, you got to make sure that they all look the same.
Right.
Okay, so we're just talking tail color here.
Okay.
I know from having Philip's bluegrass guppies that like the genes generally came out of Asia, that the line will have red in it somewhere. Mm-hmm. Sure enough, my male, if you saw his tail flickering, it would show off a little bit of red. So what gene do you have to get rid of that red? It is not the strains that you have in your fish room. It is the genetics that you have in the fish room. If you understand the genetics you've got, and if you do a lot of reading, you can pretty much hypothetically work it out in your head. Okay, and some of these things in Philip's book, Doug Gray is making his own hypothesis and his own theories as to his guppy breeding. Like guppy books have evolved in the hobby since Paul Hennell, way back when there was the American Guppy Association. It was around before the IFGA. It was around when I was a kid. Okay, everybody wanted Paul Hennell's veil-tailed guppies. Basically the big, shall we say, dorsal got more and more in the hobby because of its ornamental value. It's sort of like a Cadillac, right? Big fins. Old Cadillacs had big fins. Whereas short round-tailed guppies and stuff like that, the shows are over in Europe and in Asia to show off those types of strains. So, with that said, what happens if any of the other colors show up? There is one color that shows up. The purple and the green won't show up in that strain unless you breed it in.
So with this strain, and I have it pictured now. So the males have black and red or black and orange, and then the females are blue and black. Which one would you go with to try to start fixing the line?
No, here is more of the issue.
Okay.
With this particular line. Most of your females have got blue fins, and that's how come they would get disqualified in the IFGA shows. Okay? There are very few strains where the female shows the red fins. And whether or not that those are hormone caused or not, I do not know. Because I know of a line out of Korea, I believe where it is, Korea or China, where the female fins are red. But instead of black, it has got the other color mixed in that you will see quite often in blue and red guppies as they're falling apart. You will begin to see yellow. Yellow is, as itself, is really good, but when you see yellow, it's going to be hard to get back that blue or that red.
Huh.
Okay, to eliminate yellow. You can bend yellow by the gene magenta, and that's the gene that I like. Because it makes a yellow fish red as it gets older.
I have a male that has that. I have one male that has that magenta strain, Jeanette gene.
Yeah. Well, the thing is this is why I said it is not the strains that you have in your room. This is Philip's way of thought. If you have got every guppy gene that is in the genetics, there's 23 chromosomes in guppies. They're similar to humans in that way. And they display all of those chromosomes in different ways through iridophores and various different other genetic types of language. Okay?
Okay.
I'm keeping this as simple as I possibly
I
can.
know it can get real deep for sure.
Yeah.
So with this one,
So in your strain, when you see that blue color, isolate it. And what I would do is go to the female that does not have the particular coloration of blue in its tail, like more or less a gray tail, and you could probably isolate it or breed it to an Asian Blau type of gene. Like your line is like at 50%, and it's a lot of work.
You Roxanne.
and this is the first spawn that it has showed up in, and the bad thing is I don't know what female it came from. So that's another mystery I've got to find out.
How many strains, how many drops have you had, and how much inbreeding have you done with this particular strain?
Okay, so the drop that had, okay, I have like F1s from that I got, and
Okay, F0 is what you got.
yeah, say that. And then I have an F1 batch, and then the F1s are the spawn that is throwing this, or the babies would be F2s. So the F2s are the ones that are half and half.
So basically what you were sold was a line that was probably on F5 or F6.
And that doesn't surprise me.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's what you were probably sold.
Now, I have a question. I was listening to something else today, and it had made me think about this. When people they buy some from a breeder over in Thailand, wherever, and they bring them over here, and they want to breed them in our water and sell them. How they said that by F2 that they had that strain lined out and everything was breeding true. How would they know by F2 that everything is breeding true if they're buying wholesale from Thailand, or just would it be because of the breeder, even though the breeder's breeding in lots, or
it depends on the strain that you're talking about. Okay, some strains are tougher to work with than other strains.
Okay,
it depends on the strain and all of that kind of thing. Because you got to know. Okay, like when you're doing crosses, you got to know how much of a percentage of the strains are of both strains, so that you can sort of try to figure it out. And this is part of the kind of testing that Philip and I would do on an experimental level, because we would take a guppy out of a pet shop and breed it to a purebred male, where we know the percentage is going to happen. And you wouldn't believe the type of mixes that comes out of a full red 90% guppy male and a tequila sunset guppy from a pet shop. I wanted a guppy with a full red tail that was yellow with a full red tail. Didn't ever get that guppy.
Yellow body,
red tail.
Full
red tail.
Full red tail.
Yeah, Stephen just said he joined late and he was wondering who was talking. That's Lunatic, what is it? Lunatic Fringe?
That's right. That's
Chewy.
That's my band name.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that next on Chubz stream.
That's right. Music and being on a boat is what I want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So to fix this line that I've got, do I start with trying to breed that magenta male back to one of the females?
No. Isolate the magenta male and find a fish that's yellowtail that breeds pretty true. Use it as an experimental guppy for you to learn genetics.
Okay.
Yeah. What you're trying to do is isolate to red. If you don't want the blue, get rid of them, sell them at your pet shop. Who cares? Sell them for $3 a piece to your pet shop or whatever. Like here's a rather good line of guppies that is good for a pet shop. But for a person that wants to work with the strain, they want to know numbers. Like this is what Terry was bringing up, and I agree with him 100%.
Mm-hmm.
If a line isn't breeding true, it should be advertised as not true. This is what it is. Here's the list of genetics in the fish. Some of the fish that I got from Philip were crosses that he intended to raise himself, but was running out of tank space. So he sent them to me and asked me how the fish turned out. He crossed a jet black, midnight black Moscow. The whole body is black except for where the gonapodium comes out, and it's white there. That's the only white that was on that fish's body for the males. But he knew that that was going to be dominant in the first go around. The black Moscow was going to be the dominant gene, and the gold platinum Moscow was going to be the recessive gene. I saw what idea he had. It would take a lot of work to develop that part. But I was more into the midnight black Moscow. So he said, well, you can send them back to me or send them on to other people. And that's what I did. With what he wanted out of it. I wanted just the black Moscow because I had my own idea with the black Moscow. I wanted to have a leopard tail. You know, like a spotted, kind of like half black, like the whole fish body is black, but with dots and grass all over it, right? But a light colored grass, like maybe a half black yellow leopard.
Right on.
Not a silver.
And so Philip was also my mentor, but there was another mentor of mine. Oh. He was an IFGA judge. And now he works in the shrimp kind of thing. Like he gave up guppies. And he's from Canada. So I got the show routine and I'm going, I went, Doug.
I was just about to ask you if you want to check that one out.
This one right here?
Yeah.
I have guppies dying and I'm sure it's worms, but I'm in the UK and can't get the meds you use. Anyone have any suggestions? Ooh.
And so I went, Doug, is there somebody that I can talk with about genetics? And he hooked me up with various different people to talk to. Stephen Kortler, who is a well-known guppy breeder that is on YouTube, that is an IFGA breeder. His guppies are magnificent.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Stunning. But do you know how hard it is getting those guppies into Canada?
No.
It takes a $200 vet certificate to bring them in.
What?
Yes.
So if y'all have fish shipped to you, you have to pay $200 on top of the shipping and the price of the fish?
Exactly, for certain species. And this is what the Asians have got the advantage over the American breeders on. Because the farms are not farming guppies the way that they used to. And so it put a lot of pressure on the IFGA guys. All of them won't send to Canada because of just that factor. $200? Are you crazy?
Yeah, that's pretty nuts.
That's
like, I love Luke's fish. Hey, Luke. And then Luke goes, talk to Philip. Talk to a guy in your own country. So I go back to Doug. You're getting out of guppies? Oh, no, this is bad timing. Okay, so I'll go and see Philip. Because Doug had the fish that I wanted to work with. Philip really didn't. But I got interested in the magenta gene. And so basically, when the Canadian IGES club closed down, I got sent to Asia. Now, some people, like the Asian clubs, I'm a member of the Philippine Guppy Association Club. Like, there's various different towns. So Ronald's my president over in the Philippines. And the reason why Ronald is because he can speak English and he knows most of the breeders in Asia. And so I'm interested in like the high dorsal gene. I'm not interested in the ribbon gene. The high dorsal gene is beautiful.
Right.
Okay. And it's like you can have that in Dumbo ear too. I'm not big on the big Dumbo type of fins. Okay. But you can have it in that style of fish too. And you can actually have them as ribbon fins too.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just having those kind of genes in your fish room.
Right.
Okay. This is why Philip was saying it's not the strains that you have, it's the genetics that you have to work with.
But the genetics make up the strains.
Exactly. And understanding those genetics and how they work help you understand that. But red is the most dominant gene, so just call out all of the blue males as much as possible all the time.
Right.
Okay.
Okay? You know what the original female looked like, so start picking out that one. Don't go for quantity for to sell,
Uh-huh.
okay? Because you're at 50%.
Right. Right.
Okay? It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Right on.
Now, green and purple, green is recessive to purple. So once you see a lot of purple in your green guppies, I do not know the gene. I am not familiar with the gene that controls that part of the color wheel, because those two colors didn't interest me
Right.
so much. Yellow interests me a lot. Yellow and magenta interests me a lot.
So what crosses with the yellow?
Yellow is like a dominant color that gets mixed into guppies quite a bit.
Uh-huh.
Okay, like your half black yellows, your full yellows. It's just really, really tough to work with yellow
What's up, Dragon Air?
because they do like softer water.
Uh,
And you'll find
Good
that
question there, Stefan.
Asian strains, like some of them do very, very well in softer water because they're bred in softer water. Going back to the chemistry part of it, right?
And I thought they were bred in harder water.
The IFGA strains are. Asia has got soft water, generally speaking. Thailand's got a little bit harder water than, let's say, Cambodia or Malaysia, where the softer water bed has come from. It's still not hard like Lake Malawi, though. If you kind of understand where I'm going, you have to know geography and what kind of water sources you're dealing with.
Right.
So Philip lived in Vancouver, and he would bring in softer water guppies from Asia for his own fishery, for his own breeding. And he was a member of the IFGA, but he wanted more to do with guppy genetics and developing a strain, not maintaining.
So you got the Asian guppies and the what other guppies?
You have Asian, you have USA, and you have Europe, which is the Germans. Okay? Germany, the water is softer. The water is softer than it is in the USA, generally speaking.
Okay, so when you say Asian line, Asian means what? Asian line means what?
A line that is developed and bred in Thailand, China.
So is that where the like these Dumbos?
Those are an Asian strain, yes.
Asian strain. Okay. But Europe they don't like those types of strains, right?
No, it's more or less the United States.
We don't like, or I love them, but
No, I'm talking about the powers that be in
Yeah.
the show circuit.
right.
Okay.
Okay. So
Okay.
the US is more basic line, not so much ribbon pencils, the Dumbos and that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay. So that's how come you would have to show your fish in the World Guppy Association Club in Florida if you want to do showing.
Right.
Okay, there's breeders of guppies that don't care for shows. They don't care about how the Cadillac fins are or anything like that. They're more interested in genetics. And that was Phil. He wanted to know about guppy strains all around the world.
Yeah.
The Moscow was developed in guess what country? Russia.
Yeah, that's right.
The original Moscow guppy was bred in a bowl, practically on a Russian's table.
Wasn't it during a wartime or something like that, and they wanted something to come out, something new and whatever, and so they came out with the black Moscow, the solid black Moscow.
Oh well, actually, the original Moscow was all red.
Yeah, but wasn't there like a special reason why they came out with the black Moscow?
I do not know who developed the black Moscow. I could probably try to find out, but that's the point. Unless you are dealing with the actual breeder that develops the strain, that knows the genetics behind the fish, sometimes your guess is as good as mine. I know that the Midnight Black Moscow was developed in Asia, the line I had. But there's several different lines of black Moscows.
Huh.
They're not all the same genetics. There's various different ways and routes to develop certain types of fish, right? Like if you read that color strains, the first chapter is Moscows.
Right.
And it goes from topic to topic. And it is a wonderful book to give you an idea of some of the guppies that are being bred. Like I said, Doug Gray, okay, from PA, has that book, and he spends the time as a breeder to make sure that strains are up to par.
Right.
What he's done with the full red that was developed by Ed Chase, and there's a book by Philip that discusses the full red guppy and everything else, and the people that worked on it. Like, people really do not know a lot about Luke Roebuck, so I'm going to fill you in on Luke Roebuck too.
Okay.
From what I know.
Okay.
Luke Roebuck was the guy who put the club into Brazil.
The IFGA.
The IFGA club into Brazil. But he was also a World Guppy Association qualified judge plus an IFGA judge. He was sort of like the person from all guppy clubs hanging out with everybody. Everybody in the guppy world.
Right.
Like, he was that kind of the guy.
Right.
He loved Asian guppy breeding. He loved German guppy breeding. And just what I learned from him, just in a half an hour, nobody can teach me that.
Yeah.
And like,
Yep.
this is like 15 years ago since I've known him. And I know other big people in the IFGA too. We have the vice president of the Hawaii Guppy Club in our fish fan. You know that, don't you?
Who?
Jesse, HC Aqua,
Yeah.
the vice president of the IFGA club in Hawaii. But they can't show World Guppy or Asian strains in that because they don't class them.
Right. They'd have to be WGA.
Yeah. But Jesse is interested in Asian strains. The young guys.
That's why Jesse told me, okay, now that makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
He told me
Right, Mike.
to, even though that this strain I couldn't show in the IFGA, he needs people like me to be a member of the IFGA to help
Exactly.
get stuff like this in there. He
And
said,
you're
don't show
dealing
enough
with
interest, they're not going to do it.
old politics,
Yeah. Yeah.
which I don't want to deal with.
I don't
okay?
either.
Exactly.
Right.
I'll just go to where it is. Okay. You
Because I
know,
have friends in the IFGA and I respect them. I knew Stan Schubel too. I knew the guys before Stan.
you know the shoeable green guy? The guy that has those shoeable greens, is it that Stan Shoeable?
Stan Schubel died a few years ago. He wrote a couple of books on the topic of maintaining shoreline guppies, which I recommend to all hobbyists
Exactly.
that are interested in that topic.
How do you spell that last name, Shoeable? Is it like shoe or like?
I would agree with my fish tanks.
Schubel is German, okay?
So it's probably like SCH. It's probably gonna be funny. I'll find it. I'll look it up.
Okay. I'm going to put in the same Goodreads kind of list thing, and you can show the people the book that Stan wrote. This is a great book.
Okay.
Yeah, Stephen, down here where I'm at by New Orleans, it's pretty muggy.
Behind the private chat.
Okay. In private. Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
This is one of Stan's books. Great book. Aquarium Care of Fancy Guppies.
Take me just a minute to get it pulled up. There it is.
Mhm.
There it is.
There is, Kevin, we'll get into that topic on Chubz' stream. Okay? This is
Right.
Stan's book. You might be able to find it in, like the odd used bookstore.
And I put the link in chat again as well.
Yes, I see that. So a lot of it is reading. You want to understand genetics, start off with that Guppy Genetics Simplified book by Philip.
Uh-huh.
Go through all the topics of guppies, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, like go through them all. Okay, like I sort of understand green and purple because the Musos, Gary and Tim Musso, who are IFGA members, and I admire both of them highly. They're very good people. They're out of the Detroit area. They would have a talk with me because Gary Musso was the well-known breeder of my favorite guppy strain, the half black yellow. That is my favorite.
Right.
And I had it as a little round tail, and I always wanted it as a big delta tail. And I had to mix in metal genetics and platinum genetics just to get that strain, or something close to it. I had a half black metal kind of platinum that had metal scaling on its side and a nice yellow tail. I liked the strain, but I could tell that it was Asian. It didn't have the typical IFGA gray body before the half black. It had a platinum gene involved, which are your metal head genes. So of course, us hard rockers get into metal heads, right?
All right.
Good pun. I think I have a picture of what the guppies look, the ones that what they look like.
I also want to bring up another topic here because, like I said, Doug Gray took pictures and Stan took wonderful pictures, and the guys of the IFGA take wonderful pictures. Okay? And today, a good buddy of mine, okay, just released a video about the photo judging from that particular convention. He's into big cichlids. But I have that side of me too.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a cichlid lover, but I like little cichlids. And cichlids from specific parts of the world.
Right.
West Africa. So maybe you should actually bring him onto your show too, because he is also a care spokesperson through the American Cichlid Association.
What's his name again?
His name is King and Queen Cichlids. His name is
King.
Scott.
I know who they are. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I got to interview Scott when I was doing my radio show when he was starting his club. He calls me Professor Chewy. He did this thing to honor me, okay? And then he sends me to Africa. And I went, I don't mind. I can study fish like mormorids and all of those kind of other fish. So I'll go to Africa.
I'm going to go get that other stream going. I'll see y'all in a little bit.
All right, Chewy. Chubz.
Good. Later.
C. It starts with a C. Well.
Any other questions? I'll tell you what I didn't like about that strain with your ribbon fin strain. Do you want me to tell you what I didn't like?
My Dumbo, the ones I'm showing.
No, the black ones.
Yeah, the Moscow, the ribbon fin Moscow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you look at the dorsal fins on all of those males, they are completely different from male to male.
Okay, on the ones that I was showing the other morning?
Yes. Yes.
You're right. You're very so right.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm looking at them right now, and they are different.
Yep. A lot of work needs to be done on their fins, too.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to learn more about Asian genetics, okay,
Uh-huh.
join a club in the Philippines because they speak English. Go on Facebook, find a club from the Philippines. Say, hey, I'm interested in Asian breadfish. I was recommended by people that know. Yeah. Okay. My favorite breeder in Asia is like the Stan Chubble of Asia. His name is Joe Puta. He goes by the name of Coleman Puta. And his lines are magnificent, but you're paying a top dollar for them.
Yeah.
Just like you would with Stan Chubble.
Yeah.
He wanted $150 a trio for his half black light blues. I would pay that because I know the line.
Yeah.
But I ain't going to pay $350 for it. Do you see what we face as a Canadian marketplace now?
Yeah.
IFGA guppies are hard to find in this country.
Yeah.
We have got tons of Asian strains in pet shops and breeders that have gone out and bought top quality strains. But they're all Asian bred or Europe bred.
Yeah. This is the picture of the way that line split from, that's what half of that line of those spawn look like, aside from that other picture of, the dark males with those colors. And then this is what the other half of them look like, which I didn't realize how much yellow I see in them now.
Yeah.
I was thinking they
Start
were
looking close at what you don't like and what the original strain looked like, because that is basically what you have been sold, and then count the generations.
Yeah.
You only got 2 generations out of that fish.
Yeah.
Well, one good one, and then the second one was falling apart.
Yeah, right. All right. On that note, I'm working on my guppies. And we are all going to go over to Chubz now.
Did you learn anything?
Well, of course I learned something.
There you go.
So, and I've got some books to get and read.
Exactly. Go and read a good book, curl up and read a good book.
Yeah. But that means I won't be on YouTube.
Yeah.
Maybe I could just read to y'all. Maybe that'll work.
Well, the thing is audiobooks might happen in the world too.
Yeah, that I would love, because I can do audiobooks all day.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, I know Chubz is waiting on us, so
okay.
Thank
you
guys.
Can you give me the link to Chubz's? Oh, I see it.
Yeah.
I see it in chat.
Lori, just put it in there.
Yeah.
All right, you guys.
Okay, so I'm disappearing here.
Yeah, I'll see you over there. And everyone, I hope you learned something. And of course, always, and I'm so glad that Chewy showed up. And we are going to go over to Chubz and learn about some rock metalhead music. So let's go watch that and rock out, right? How you do it? Like that? All right. I love you guys. See y'all over there. Thanks for watching tonight. See ya.